Mainieri, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know it's crazy busy right now.
Hey, T-Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing well. The question is, how are you doing? It was a filled weekend. I see you out there with Coach Johnson. Kind of, it seems like almost quite literally showing him the ropes. A video of y'all cruising around the town. How was it welcoming in the man who will succeed you as coach of LSU?
Well, I'll be honest with you, it's been a strange myriad of emotions for me personally.
Yeah.
I made a strong commitment that I want to make it a very seamless transition and try to help him in any way I can. I love the LSU baseball program. I love our university. I love our city and our state, and I want nothing more than for him to be very successful and to keep a great tradition alive of success in our baseball program. So I think he's going to be a tremendous coach and is going to do a great job, and I want to help him in any way that I can. On the other hand, when you've done something for 39 years in your life and 15 years at a place that you've loved and you've poured everything, in your heart and soul into something, and then all of a sudden it's over,
Yeah.
As you might imagine, it's very difficult, from a personal standpoint to let it go. And it's a strange time in your life, and so I'm dealing with those emotions, and I'm doing okay with it. But there's moments when it's a little bit hard. You do things that are so natural to you. You turn here and you turn in to your parking spot and you go into your office, but all of a sudden you realize it's not your parking spot anymore, and it's not your office anymore. You walk into the dugout, but it's not your dugout anymore. And, you realize that the game doesn't stop for anybody and the clock keeps ticking. And I knew that. But when the harsh reality hits home, it kind of is a shock to your system a little bit, but I'm okay. And I'm proud of the way we're leaving the program. And I don't have any doubt that Jay's going to do a great job and he's going to take it to great heights. And, I'm going to enjoy watching it.
Yeah, Coach, I can't help but think about the poem that you referenced in that final press conference talking about the indispensable man. And certainly when you talk about The Office, like that was something that Cobble pointed out on Twitter, seeing it without all your memorabilia, it felt a bit odd, right? It feels a bit stark. So how do you think you'll continue to process this? Is this just an overtime thing where it kind of you get used to the new normal? Because I know coaching can be so all-consuming.
Yeah, I think it's going to take some time for me personally, T-Bob. It'll be the new normal, and, I'm excited about the rest of my life. I'm going to try to enjoy things, but I think it'll take some time getting used to. I think God willing, I got a lot of life left in me, and, I'm relatively healthy. Believe it or not, my neck feels better already.
There we go.
I think a lot of the stress has been relieved, and just sitting down yesterday with Jay, I sat with him for 6 hours and just went over a lot of things with him, and and I know he's got a lot of decisions to make, and those used to be decisions that I had to make, and I used to relish making those tough decisions, and now I realize just how encompassing the job really was, how difficult the job was, and I'm kind of glad he has to make all those decisions now. And I went home last night and I said, I said to my wife that, boy, I walked out of that office yesterday realizing that Jay had a lot of decisions to make, and I was kind of glad that he had to make them, and it kind of relieved a lot of stress from me. And he's a bright guy, and he's going to make some good decisions, and he's got a good plan, and I think LSU fans should feel really good about the hands that the program is being put in. I really do. I think he's going to do a great job. I think any of the final candidates that Scott had indicated that he was, well, I don't know that he indicated, but sources had indicated that he was considering. I think any of them would have been really good, and I think he picked a great one. I think Jay's going to really make his mark here, and people are going to love him.
Yeah, and so it's kind of crazy, Coach. I guess you could go home yesterday and you could like watch a movie or just relax, do whatever you want, have some wine. And thus the kind of burden of expectation that is higher at LSU than anywhere else in the country, that now shifts to his shoulders, right? And I think y'all's backgrounds are kind of interesting. You had more of an LSU connection, certainly, but being relative outsiders and then stepping into this, as we said, this huge level of expectation. Did you offer him? Were you able to offer him any sort of insight or maybe wisdom and how to deal with that?
I gave him my personal advice, but I think he knows how to handle it. He knows what he's getting into. T-Bob, when you're in college baseball, I can't tell you how many people have said to me through the years, like, man, how do you handle it? People from the outside understand the immense pressure that the baseball coach at LSU is under. Like all the other coaches that I coach against have said to me I couldn't even begin to count how many times coaches have said to me, man, how do you handle it there? My admiration for you of how you handle the pressure and the expectations and how you did it for so long is really, very high, because I don't know if I could handle it. And in my own mind, I say to myself, you're right. You probably couldn't have handled it. It takes an attitude and a perspective of things to be able to handle it. Now, I don't mean that in a braggadocious way. I just know that it takes a mindset to be able to handle the expectations and to be able to be yourself and to do things the way that you believe are the right way to do things, and keep things in perspective in how you handle the kids and how you make decisions and so forth. But my recommendation to Jay was you have to stay confident in yourself. You have to believe in your philosophy. You have to, who you are is a product of what you've done for years and what you believe in, and you've got to stay true to that. Yeah. And yet, at the same time, you have to be appreciative of the fact that you have the most passionate fan base in America, and you can't confuse criticism with people just being passionate. You can't take it personal. It's just that the fans are very, very passionate about their baseball program here. You can't in one side of your mouth say, man, it's great to have all these resources, a beautiful stadium, a passionate fan base, a chance to recruit great players, great fan support, be able to compete for championships, and then on the other side of your mouth say, yeah, but don't have high expectations for us. That's speaking with a forked tongue. You can't have one without the other. And when you have high expectations, and criticism is certainly going to follow unless you win every single game and win the national championship every year. And I told Jay, listen, a lot of people in this town, their definition of winning is you win the last game of the year in Omaha. Yeah. Up until then is just just killing time, really. But he and I both know how hard it is just to win every single day, and what it takes to get to Omaha, much less win when you get there. So you got to balance it all, and you got to appreciate the fans. You got to appreciate the media, the job that they have to do. Social media is a reality in today's society, and you just got to be able to balance it all. And you got to believe in yourself, and you got to stay true to yourself, and you got to have thick skin. And you can't bounce around like a rubber ball off the walls and try to please every critic that's out there, because you'll drive yourself crazy. If you just stay true to what you believe is the right way to do things, and believe that the failures are going to be short term and everything's going to come around, and you're going to find the way to be successful in the end, and you usually will. He knows what he's doing. He's going to be a good coach. And he's going to have my support, he's going to have Skip's support, and he's going to need, the majority of the fans to support him and rally behind him, and I think he's going to do a great job.
Coach Mainieri continuing to give out nuggets of wisdom that transcend just being a head baseball coach. What about this, though, Coach? Last one here. Coach Johnson's got his opening press conference this afternoon in Alec Box. Do you remember what that day was like for you? Can you kind of take us in your headspace as you were prepared to be introduced to Tiger Nation?
Oh yeah, I remember like it was yesterday, T-Bob. It was so exciting, and you know, I, I had coached at 3 other schools, and I remember the feeling of being the coach at those 3 other schools. My being so frustrated so often because nobody cared about baseball at the schools that I was at. It was such a hard job trying to get people to believe that college baseball was important, and just constantly being frustrated. We were being so successful, and I was trying to get people to be so interested. And I finally, at Notre Dame in my last few years, we took a team to Omaha, and people watched Notre Dame play in South Bend, Indiana. Watched Notre Dame play on ESPN in college, in the College World Series, and that was the first time they'd ever seen Notre Dame play, and they were right in the same city. And they finally realized we had a team, and my last year there, we had a little stadium that had capacity of 2,100, and we averaged 2,514 people my last year. So we averaged better than a sellout game my last year there, and it was a great sense of accomplishment. But I remember when I came to LSU that I didn't have to worry about people being interested in college baseball anymore. What a great feeling that was, that I didn't have to sell people on the idea that college baseball mattered. Skip Bertman had already done that for us,
Yeah.
and we had so much interest in the sport. And I remember how exciting that was. And I remember the press conference. It was over on the 5th floor of the athletic administration building, and the place was packed. I mean, you couldn't squeeze another body in there. And I just remember standing there in front of everybody and saying that I believed that there was magic in the name LSU, and that my goal was to return LSU to the pinnacle of college baseball, and I believe that was still possible. And the 3rd year we were here, we returned to the national championship, and it was a great sense of accomplishment. And then I spent the rest of my career trying to get us back to that spot. We came close. We had some teams that could have done it, but it was hard. And there's a lot of good teams in the country, but I was still very proud of what we did. T-Bob, we didn't win another national championship, but I think we kept LSU in the hunt every year, and I think we won at least one kind of championship in 10 of the 14 years. One year we didn't have a chance to play for a championship because of the pandemic, so we won at least one championship of some kind in 10 of the 14 years I was here, and we were a national seed, I think, in 9 of those 14 years. So I think we had some success here. We produced some really great kids. A lot of them are succeeding in Major League Baseball. The fan interest was still great. I'm really proud of what we did, and I wish we would have had another national championship trophy or two. But overall, I think we left the program in pretty good shape, and it was a wonderful experience for me personally. But I'll never forget that day of that press conference 15 years ago. It was a very exciting day in my life, and something I'll just never forget.
Yeah, Coach, your resume speaks for itself, and I know all of Tiger Nation thanks you for the last decade and a half of work that you put in. Coach Mainieri, thank you so much for making some time for us this morning.
All right, T-Bob, my pleasure.
All right, when we get back, it's going to be a very short segment. I apologize to do this, but, I wanted to talk to Coach there. And then we got weekend winners kicking off the 8 o'clock hour. Keep it locked on OTB.